All right, welcome to Growth Quest, the business and personal podcast for those of us who want to make something of ourselves.
Yeah.
This is the podcast of the next century where iron sharpens iron. I am your host, Mel Solomon, and this is episode numero tres. And tonight I have probably one of the most special guests that I will probably ever have on this show, and it is my very own mother.
Yay!
And as we film this, tomorrow is actually a huge and very special day for this woman. I'm going to
Yes.
give her 21 years ago. She was seen to be blessed enough to be placed on this earth. So tomorrow will be her birthday. So I'll be the first to give her a extremely early happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I am so happy. Boy, you don't even know. I can't even believe I'm here all these many years, but the grace of God is real. I'm going to tell you that.
All right. So we're here today or tonight to talk about something that she will be releasing here very soon.
Yes.
And I want to kind of give you the floor to talk about what it is.
Okay. Well, I don't know if they can see my background, the little bit of the poster. My book is being published as of tomorrow, November 10th, 2020. My birthday is called Flora's Tears, and it is definitely a dream come true. Over the past few years, I've been a caregiver, a mom, a sister, friend, everything. And I'm just so grateful to God to let me see my book being published and to see my life letting the change in other people's lives, see another change come through in other people's lives. So I am so grateful for that because it's more than just a book. It's called a resource system, and it helps children and parents develop their emotional skills, social skills, the way they talk and interact with each other. So it's more than just a book. It's a wonderful resource system.
So as we dive into the book, I want to bring up something. I know you haven't been keeping up with hip hop lately.
No,
Last thing you
not at
probably
all.
heard was Biggie featuring Mace. So I'm going to catch you up on
Oh my
where we're at
God.
today in hip hop. Have you ever heard of a
Okay.
young man named King Von?
No.
No?
No.
So after we leave off of here, you should probably, I'll send you one of his songs.
Okay.
He was just killed the night before
Oh,
yesterday,
I'm
unfortunately.
sorry.
Um,
How old was he?
26 years old.
Oh man.
And one of the things with King Von, I don't remember when I actually discovered Von, but his music was actually like entertaining. You understood what he was saying was
Mm-hmm.
true, but at the same time, a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
was able to live vicariously through his lyrics. And
Okay.
what I heard him say on Gilly's podcast, because
Mm-hmm.
Gilly was interviewing him, and Gilly asked him
Mm-hmm.
about what's going on in Chicago, how you can have 400 something people
Mm-hmm.
shot in one weekend. And what King
Yes.
Von
Yes.
said is there's a bunch of men running around that don't know how to open up and conversate with one another.
There you go.
He said there's a
There
bunch of
you
men running
go.
around. They don't know how to approach each other as men.
That's
So
right.
somebody just lashes out
That's
and
right.
they'll kill somebody's cousin. Now all of a
That's
sudden
right.
that person's cousin feels like he needs to come back and get revenge. So then it
That's
creates
right.
this never ending cycle where men feel
That's
like
right.
I'm hurt. Now you need to feel the pain that I'm feeling.
That's right. That's right.
So on one weekend, you'll have hundreds of people shot and
Oh
dozens
my
of people
God.
that's actually murdered in the city of Chicago.
And it's a never ending, it goes on and
It's a
on
never
because
ending cycle.
I'm retaliating because of what you did.
So I know the book that you wrote dives down into a actual, it goes deeper than just a book.
Yes.
It hits into an actual program that people can take advantage of.
Yes. Yes.
Um, how would you approach men that don't know how to approach a situation in order to rectify it so it doesn't have to go into projecting your hurt onto another individual?
You always have to think first. You always, because there's always consequences to what you do. There's always I don't care if you did something nice or if you did something evil. There is consequences. So
Mm-hmm.
before you do anything, because even if you thinking, okay, I'm gonna go do something dirty, you know there's gonna be consequences. You know
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna suffer personally, or your family is gonna suffer. Somebody's gonna suffer. So
Mm-hmm.
why just bam? I can't control myself. I'm just gonna go crazy. No, you have to think first. There's always gonna be a consequence. So
Mm-hmm.
think first. Breathe. Even if you have to pray, if you have to
Mm-hmm.
go in a corner somewhere, find your peace, whatever your peace is. You have to find your peace and calm yourself before you do something stupid.
Yep. So, what about those people who suffer from uh, that kind of impulse control, but they don't have, in essence, the same kind of spirituality that we have?
I get what you're saying. They don't have that stop button.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that stop
Yep.
button. But you still have to stop and think. You
Uh-huh.
have to, and those are people who unfortunately are not going to listen to something like this,
Mm-hmm.
or are not going to, because they don't have that stop button. But there are some that are going to say, wait a minute, he said something and I'm going to think about it, or
Mm-hmm.
she said something and I'm going to think about it. Those are people who do have that, the stop button, because they've taken time to think and say, wait a minute, there will be consequences on my life. There will be consequences on my family. So those are the ones you always want to, I don't care what you're doing in life, you want to focus on the ones that you know that that arrow is going to hit. You are
So,
here for certain people, and that
real quick,
arrow is going to hit certain places. And the other ones, God bless them. You can pray for them, but whatever you have is not for them, unfortunately.
let's introduce you. I hope you don't mind me coming this direction,
Uh-huh.
but we're gonna introduce. We got author Wendy right now,
Uh-huh.
but let's introduce them to Wendy Tawana
Uh-oh,
real
who's
quick.
that? Little Brooklyn girl you talking about?
Brooklyn girl. So you were born where?
Okay. Bedford Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, actually. Bedford
Born in
Stuyvesant.
Bedford Stuyvesant, Brooklyn.
Madison Street, and we moved to Bushwick. Yeah, little
So
Brooklyn girl.
what was your life like growing up?
Oh my God.
Just so we can understand. So we're not looking
I
at you just
came through, you talking about all of the real Brooklyn,
yeah, yeah,
where
that's
I
what I'm
came
trying to
through.
reach because I want people to develop a understanding and a connection of who you are
Okay,
and where
okay,
you're coming from so
okay.
that they know, all right, there's going to be
I can
value in what she's
identify.
trying to
Okay, I
offer
get
me.
it. I get it. Well, Brooklyn growing up, oh my God, you had the block parties, you had the fun, and then you had, I mean, I'm thinking about even in the 70s where you saw domestic violence on a regular basis, and it was just regular, unfortunately. You saw a man
Mm-hmm.
punching a woman and a woman screaming, and you heard your neighbors fighting, and you heard
Mm-hmm.
the kids crying, and my mom would have to feed people and all stuff like that. I mean, regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was not uncommon. It was regular, unfortunately. And then I can remember in Bushwick with cocaine and all of that. It was bad. Seeing people, beautiful young girls, getting their teeth knocked out
Mm-hmm.
from doing crack and all.
Turning
It
into
seemed like all the
fiends.
crackheads would lose their teeth. Huh?
Turning into
I'm sorry.
fiends.
Yeah, it was all the crackheads would lose their teeth, unfortunately. Um, but in between all of that, we still took care of each other. Those of us who came from families who still leaned into love, we still took care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you saw a family member fall by the wayside and did drugs or something like that, we still took care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
That was the glue. Love was the glue. If you can see it up there, LOVE, love was the glue. And unfortunately, that's what we're missing. Love is an action word.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me you love me and you don't show me. You
Mm-hmm.
keep that to yourself. Love is an action word.
You know, and before we get into one of the, because I want to build that up into what you have in one of your notes, offering a foundation for you to address difficult conversations. And I want to kind of tie this in. One of
Okay.
the biggest areas of hypocrisy that I see within our community, um,
I get
we
it.
always talk about loving one another. You know what I mean? And this is still coming along the lines of where King Von was coming from.
Hmm.
We always talk about loving one another. We always talk about buying black, and we always talk about supporting black businesses. We always talk about voting our own interest, et cetera, et cetera. But when you look at
Hmm.
our real protectors, or the people that should be our protectors within our communities,
Hmm. Hmm.
we see them tearing each other down.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, you don't
Hmm.
see Mark Zuckerberg, and you don't see the owner of Twitter, and you don't see Elon Musk running around beefing with each other and shooting at each other.
Right.
The other billionaires,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
But you'll see Jay-Z throwing in little lines in his songs
Right.
about somebody
Those
else, and how
little
he's, even though he's at a
gotta
stage,
get you,
he still
gotta
thinks that he's
jab
touching
at you,
somebody.
gotta stab at you.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
don't see that amongst other individuals.
Right.
So your foundation growing up and figuring
Hmm.
out that you had neighbors that you had to depend on to make
Hmm.
it through some of the rough times in life
Hmm.
brought you to where you're at now,
Hmm.
and it helped you to develop a specific mind frame.
Hmm.
um, what's your recommendation to let people know that they need to go back to their what developed them to where they're at today, and cause that to be their concrete foundation, and turn around and do better for themselves?
People can't give to you what they don't have.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find, even if you have to dig deep inside of yourself and find that love. Remember the words of your grandmother and your grandfather. Remember that neighbor that gave you a dish of food or a meal or something. Remember those things. You have to
Mm-hmm.
find those things. And all of this hell and hellish behavior that we're seeing, we're experiencing, and stuff like that, sometimes you can't help but act like an animal, because that's the environment. And I can remember that, even in Brooklyn. That reminds me of something somebody said to me, and it was a friend of mine. He said, "Wow," he said, "I like how you live." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "You can be in an environment, but the environment doesn't have to be in you."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Wow, that's powerful." And that's what I say to these people. You can be in an environment, but don't let that environment be in you. There's
Mm-hmm.
a change that needs to come among us. And especially us, we have to, we need to change all over in general. But like you said, in our community, we need a change. We have to
Mm-hmm.
have a change. We can't go on like this because we are killing each other. We're doing away, not even just physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. We're doing away with each other like it's unbelievable. It's so unfortunate. So this is your wake up call. This is your knock on the door. A lot of people say opportunity doesn't knock at your door. Well, yes, it knocks at your door in 2020. Now it's on your Zoom. Now it's on your Instagram. Now it's on your YouTube. It's your wake up call. This is your life. You don't get another chance to live it. This is your legacy. What are you leaving behind? Are you leaving behind hell? Are you leaving behind blessings,
Mm-hmm.
victory? What are you leaving? Because you're leaving here. You're leaving here. Which way you go? What are you going to leave for your children
Mm-hmm.
and your grandchildren? This is reality. This is your wake up call. Wake the hell up.
So, kind of we kind of hit on it a little bit, but let's kind of ease back to the book. So
Okay.
I have it promoting communication skills, cognitive skills, assisting with emotional control,
Mm-hmm.
and developing strong problem solving skills.
Yes.
Um, how were you able to kind of author that into this book?
Well, that comes with the resource kit itself.
Uh huh.
Once you get through the book, you're identifying these emotions because as a 5-year old, I'm just giving an example, as a 5-year old or a 6-year old, you know the little things, you know I'm happy, you know I'm sad. But what if something bad happens to you and you're not quite sure what just happened? You don't know what to put that word on. So with this resource kit, you'd be surprised. You can dig in there. It's not to point fingers at nobody. It's not to shame nobody. It's not to make nobody look bad. It's to open and expose what needs to be healed. And this resource kit does that. It opens and it exposes what needs to be healed and looked at and examined so your family can go from the place of where it is to where you need it to be or you want it to be.
So, and that's the thing, and that's why I'm glad that you came out with this as a children's book. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to start with the adult version of it, the adult problems of it, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can lead in from the branches
Mm-hmm.
and start going down into the trunk, which is the
Mm-hmm.
issues, and then down to the roots, so where it all comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, for our listeners, this is a children's book, and
Yes.
now we're gonna kind of hit on the root of where your adult problems normally stem from,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
stems from being a kid. And very often within our society, it doesn't matter what community you stem from, you're
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily taught the right ways to have an emotional reaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you remember the movie Menace to Society, um, a lot of the issues that they had
Mm-hmm.
came from when they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
They watched their parents playing their card games
Mm-hmm.
and shoot
Smoking,
somebody, or they watched
drinking.
their parents
Yep.
beating on one another, like you said, growing up in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
They watched their parents have drug issues and
Mm-hmm.
alcohol abuse issues, and it allowed them to be able to go out and have influence
Mm-hmm.
other than where their influence should have initially came from.
They thought it was normal. They didn't think it was
Exactly.
nothing wrong with it. They thought it was normal.
It's the same thing Jay-Z was talking about, where he said that um, he had to do something to quiet his stomach rumblings. He
Mm,
hungry at night, so now he has to act like the adult of the household,
mm,
go out and get money by any means possible, just so
mm,
that he can eat.
mm.
And how do you go ahead? Just take it over. How do you attack those issues for these children? Like, how do you make the children want to get into the activities and really try to connect with their emotional
It's
selves?
so easy. It's so easy because you're already together as a family. You're reading the book and you're exchanging your feelings, your emotions, you're exchanging stories, and it's already a setting that
Hmm.
is open to the activity of sharing. It's sharing. It's already you come together, you're sitting together, you're reading and you're sharing. So you're open. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things we put in the book for the parents. You know, when you hear things, don't get defensive. Don't get angry at the child. That's that child's truth, whether you want to hear it or not, or whether you like it or not. That's that child's point of view, and that's their truth.
Hmm.
So you can't reject it. You can't um, push it away because you don't like what you're hearing or you don't like what you're seeing. That's child's truth. So you have to learn to listen to that child and make the change. So, and another thing it does, it uncovers if you need to take it to the next step. If you do need to speak to your physician and further go with therapy and something like that, it's already open, you know, to that idea of going, I need to get some help here, or this is going further than what the resource system can do. I need to find a therapist, because you're open to that information.
So, what is permissive parenting?
Permissive, that means you're being too, you're just, yes, everything is yes, yes. Mom, can I go to the party and you're only 15 and staying out 12 and 1 o'clock at 1 o'clock in the morning? No. You have to learn how to be the parent. It's either, too permissive or too extreme. You're too hard. You have to learn that happy balance. It's a happy balance you have to learn. You don't want to make the rope so short that they'll become you know bitter, resentful, and start doing stuff behind your back. So it's a happy balance. You have to find that balance, and it's not easy, but you
That is
find
hard
it.
to do.
Well, it's doable. It's not like it's not doable. It's doable. Look at
That
you.
is so hard to do because I'll go
No,
downstairs.
it's doable. It's doable.
I'll be like, yo, do me a favor, go sweep the floor real quick, and then do a few dishes. Not all of the dishes, just a few dishes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna come down there. When I come down there, I want to be able to like cook or whatever, like mop behind
Right.
y'all because y'all swept, whatever. And I come downstairs
Mm-hmm.
and the floor ain't swept. Neither is the dishes done, but they over there playing on a computer game somewhere, which makes me go, "Hey, is your homework done?" No, my homework ain't. So now I gotta come and drag everybody from the fun they've been
Mm-hmm.
having and force them to do everything they needed to do for the next few hours. And now I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean? And
Right.
then come
Right.
to look, and I'm like, all right, y'all don't deserve nothing, not jack. And the weekend come. Can we do this? That no, nobody's
Mm-mm.
doing anything. Y'all done got on my.
Well, you know what? That means you got to micromanage, unfortunately. When you see where you have to micromanage, you micromanage. When you can step back, when you see, okay, now they learned, I'm not, the run over or the pushover, or, you will be well taken care of regardless. But I need you to do XYZ. When you can sit back after they've done their chores, that's different. But you right now, it looks like you're gonna have to micromanage.
See, because when I get to that point, I'm like, nobody deserves not a thing.
Nothing. No,
Not
because
a
you got to
nobody's moving.
micromanage.
We ain't having
Mm-mm.
no fun. Don't
No.
breathe. Don't laugh. Don't pick up a piece of chalk to even try to play hopscotch. I don't care what y'all want to do. We ain't doing it. Y'all sit here and stare at each other. That's it. Don't even blink.
No. Got to micromanage. Small steps before the big steps.
So that's kind of where I'm at with
That's
mine,
funny.
and it makes me nervous because I'm like, if I'm already doing that here, you know what I mean. The oldest one is 13.
Mm-hmm.
When she's 16, 17, and she actually wants to go out and do something, and you know
Mm-hmm.
what with girls,
Right.
it don't get no much better with the attitudes and
Right.
the laziness and not wanting to do what anybody. I wouldn't even call it laziness. Is mindful rebellion. Like
See, now that's
I
different.
know exactly what you told me to do, but
But I'm
just
not gonna do
because
it.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do it, and I'm gonna do what
Yeah.
I want to do,
Yeah.
and I know that I can't like grasp and be like, nah, ain't nobody doing anything, especially at that point,
Mm-hmm.
because then they're gonna run around like Catholic schoolgirls and Mormon schoolgirls. That's so if
Well,
you
you
get
gotta reel it
uh,
in. Now you gotta reel it in. You know what? Reel it in.
what's the fine line in your graceful opinion between like when to let go of the micromanagement and when to step into more of a laissez-faire kind of.
Well, you've already shown when they show that they can't, when you go upstairs and they supposed to have did XYZ and you come down and nothing is done and it's like the zoo down there, like, okay, this is it. Now I have to micromanage you. And
Mm-hmm.
then slowly let off the micro. Once you see the behavior change, you change.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. So um, I have spotlight areas for parents to intervene and de escalate problem areas and
Mhm.
negative behaviors, which allows you to seek help for yourself and your child. Children with your
Your
pediatrician slash
pediatrician or
doctor.
doctor, yeah, we that's what we spoke about earlier.
Hmm.
It'll show you like some children really do have like major problems, behavior problems, and when you see that is exposed, then you can go ahead and talk to your pediatrician, because even in public, you've been places and you've seen children that's just, this is just completely out of order. This child needs some help. So that's where it exposes, some children do need additional help.
So, what's those help centers that you would recommend people to reach out to? Because a lot of people don't know. What I've always learned was uh, pretty much for those who were probably leaning toward being more suicidal.
Mm,
Um, you always ask straight out, "Hey, do you plan to kill yourself? Do you plan on hurting
hurt
anybody else, et
yourself.
cetera, et cetera?"
Right.
And then once you ask, depending on their answer, you yourself will care, and then you have to escort them to uh, a quote unquote help center.
Right.
What are the
Right.
help centers that you would recommend?
You definitely, depending on the situation, if it's urgent, always 911 immediately.
Hmm.
Of course, you know that. But if it's something, like a urgent care, if you can get them to an urgent care center, or, sometimes people trust maybe your aunt or maybe an uncle or something like that. And you talk to that aunt, you talk to that uncle and say, hey, Johnny needs some additional help. Can you take Johnny or come with us
Hmm.
to his pediatrician or something like, because sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes children don't trust their parents with certain information or their guardian with certain information. And you have to be willing to bring other people in. That's number one. You have to be willing, because sometimes people, especially us, we always got these huge family secrets and stuff. This is not a time for stuff like that. If you
Hmm.
see somebody has a serious situation or a serious problem, you have to be willing to let other people in. And so that's what, my advice is: be willing to let that favorite aunt in, be willing to let that favorite uncle, whoever it is, that favorite teacher or whatever, let them help you, you know?
So don't try to handle the situation always on your own.
No,
There's
you
other
have to be
people that you
willing to help.
can
Get
let
help.
down your guard and have
That's right.
come
That's
in
right.
and aid in the
That's
situation.
right. And it's not about you. If you see that child needs help, it's not about you trying to not be embarrassed or something crazy. The
Hmm.
kid needs help, you know?
Hmm.
It's not about you being embarrassed. Get the child some help.
So two-part book,
Yes.
right? The first one is the children's book,
Mm-hmm.
and the second part, from the
The
sounds of it,
workbook.
is a
Yeah, the
workbook
resource system.
where you have
Mm-hmm.
to involve both parent and child together
Right.
so that that child is comfortable enough to know what they're feeling, how to react when they are feeling that particular emotion,
Right.
and as they age, they're comfortable enough to also reach out for help when they know that they need help.
That's right. That's
And
right.
bringing that to places where people can relate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if you heard of the baby. We already discussed that the last song you probably heard from that particular genre is probably from Escape. But the baby is another rapper from North Carolina.
Oh Lord.
Uh, he recently put out a tweet where he told people that if they know that they need to get help, that's what they need to do.
That's
Go
right.
speak to somebody and stop hiding from your
That's right.
problems
That's
and your
right.
emotions.
Always
And then
want to
he said,
have
"I'm
hush
about to
hush.
go and get help myself."
That's right.
You know.
That's
And
right.
my previous episode, we spoke about mental health in our neighborhoods and
Mm-hmm.
our need for mental health because it's
Seriously.
unfortunate, but people are suffering, and a lot of that
Yes.
suffering comes from when they
Being
started as kids.
quiet.
You know, we no longer have in our communities the two parent households.
That's
You
right.
know, granted, there's
Mhm.
a study from the CDC that says that more fathers from the black community are spending time with their children than
Mhm.
from any other community.
Mhm.
However, they're spending time with their children, but it's not a cohesive two
Mhm.
parent household. You know,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
we're no longer the community of the 40s, 50s, and the early 60s like we used to be.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
cohesiveness isn't there. And
Right.
we point to Chicago very often to kind of prove that
Mhm.
that cohesiveness is no longer
It's
there.
not there.
For
Yeah.
whatever reason, we talk a good game. We make it look like we're doing this unity, and then we go and stab each other in the back after.
Back.
You know.
I get it. I get it. And that's why I say this is time. It's healing time. It's
Hmm.
serious healing time. It's not where you can look all shiny and bright and bling bling on the outside. You know, you got your little tulips and rainbows, and in the inside, you got black clouds and hell is raging on the inside.
Yeah.
It's not a time for that. It's a time for healing and help and people. You got millions of people, especially in this environment of the pandemic. Literally millions of people are taking pills for anxiety
Hmm.
and things like that. Now, if you got adults taking pills, what is going on with the children?
Exactly.
Can you please tell me if you got adults, grown people, 40s and 50s taking pills
The young
and
kids
the
is doing it
children is
too.
blowing in the breeze? What's going on? It's time to do something.
The young kids is doing it too. Another rapper I'm gonna point to, Juice World, just passed away from a few months back on a private jet, flying in, swallow pills to try to hide them away from
Oh,
customs, and
oh.
ended up passing away from the overdose. Most of the songs now talking about Molly's, Percocet, Zans. So you
Because
know what the
people
kids
are
are doing.
hurting. People are hurting. People are hurting. Young
So
and old, people are hurting.
we know what the issues are,
Mm-hmm.
and we see that we have one person here that's uh, trying to offer a solution to those issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's time that we stop pushing away the solutions when you see them in
Mm-hmm.
your face
Mm-hmm.
and start accepting those solutions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is there anything else you want to add, Mom?
I just want people to know again that it's time for change. It's time to help yourselves, help your families, help your loved ones. Because again, I don't know if you can see my little timer has ran out. I did that purposely. There comes a time when you can't turn the clock back. This is your family. This is your children. This is your legacy. Do something about it. It's a time to do something about it.
So let the listeners know where they can find you, what your YouTube is, your Instagram,
Yes, yes. Um,
website.
okay. Flora's Tears YouTube channel. The email address is florastears@gmail.com. And I'm on Bitly. The resource kit on Bitly is called Growing and Feeling Resource System, VIP Coaching, LLC. And I'm on Instagram as the number one Fab Lovely Lady. So it's one Fab Lovely Lady. And I'm on Facebook as my name. So you can hit me up on Facebook.
So before we get out of here, before we cut out real quick,
Hmm.
my mom used to tell me stories about my grandmother. The book is
Yes,
named after my grandmother. All right.
yes, yes.
You know that my mom is from Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn. You get me? My mom used to tell me how my grandmother would hit the streets to handle her business.
Oh boy.
Is there one story that you are willing at this point in time to share about my grandmother that you
Yes.
love very much handling her business on the
Oh my
streets
gosh.
in Brooklyn?
Okay, my mom, she was the sweetest lady. She really was. I mean, she would feed you literally thousands of people she fed and changed and everything. But this one sweet lady, don't you get her wrong. Don't you get her wrong. So I'll tell you this little quick story. She thought somebody was going after her man.
Uh
She took some neon green paint.
oh.
I saw her drink her sugar water. And when you see her drink her sugar water, don't get near her because it's done. It's something get ready to go down. When you see her drink her sugar water, she went down the street. She swung it on that lady. She threw it all up on her window. It was on the car. I don't know if she got a few licks in. I don't know, but probably was up in that. You don't get Flora wrong. She loves you. She'll take care of you, but you don't do the wrong thing. So that's what I.
So what the moral of the story is if a woman says she from Brooklyn, run. All right. That's that's the main moral of the story. You ain't doing right.
Not the more.
If you ain't
Yeah, you
acting
gotta
right,
do the
you
right
ain't
thing.
all right.
Do the right thing from the start. Just stay nice.
I don't know about people from Malibu. I don't know about people from the Upper West Side. I don't know about that. But if you ain't doing right, if you ain't thinking right, if you ain't acting right,
We can
and say
fix it.
Brooklyn, you probably gonna get a few licks upside your head. I'm gonna tell you. Like Bernie Mac said, they gonna beat you to the white meat show.
White meat.
All right. So pending anything else that you need to add, want to add, any late save rounds?
I just want people to take this seriously. It's a good book. We're sharing great information, but do the right thing for your family. Make the purchase of the resource system and get your family on the right track. Today is a good day to do that.
All right. So this
All
has
right.
been Growth Quest podcast where iron sharpens iron. Keep in mind that we are here to make sure that not only we grow ourselves, but we are trying to ensure that while we're growing ourselves, we're helping other people grow as well. So that's the point behind this
That's
podcast.
right.
I'm scratching backs, you're scratching my back, and we're all scratching each other's back at the same time. So
That's right.
thank you again for tuning in, and hopefully I get to see you again. Be blessed.
Yay.